Since the beginning, Philadelphia and its surrounding communities have looked after, taken care of, and given back to each other in times of need. All with love. WMMR has lived in the Philadelphia spirit since the Marconi experiment in 1968. We will always put Philly first.
It's now time for the WMMR Public Affairs Show on 93.3 WMMR Philadelphia.
You're listening to 93.3 WMMR. This is Public Affairs. I'm your host, Markus Goldman. With me today are two gentlemen who are involved with the Delaware Valley Science Fairs. Henry Disston, who is the president and executive director of the Delaware Valley Science Fairs Incorporated, as well as Alex McBride, who is an alumni who went through the program, did all 7 years in the program, is now studying material science and engineering at Drexel University. Gentlemen, thank you very much for stopping by to chat about something very interesting today.
You're welcome.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
Now, before we start talking about the actual Delaware Valley Science Fair, could you give us a little background on yourselves? Henry, if you could let us know what the Delaware Valley Science Fair is and how you got involved with it, how the program started. And Alex, as somebody who spent all eligible 7 years in the program, we'll talk to you about what your experiences were, and we'll go from there.
All right. Well, the fairs basically started in 1949. It was a joint venture between the Philadelphia Inquirer and the Franklin Institute. I got involved with the program. I worked at the Franklin Institute and got involved with the program. And then as it evolved a little bit, I formed I incorporated the fairs and got a 501c3. This is back in the early 90s. And then Darkus, who came to Drexel, the president came to Drexel, approached me and said, I want you on campus. It seemed to be a good fit for him, of his vision of what he wanted Drexel to be, a comprehensive research university. And these kids, the science fair is a research competition rather than just kind of, it's not your father's science fair with the volcano models and things like that. These kids are actually doing research and experiments and improving designs on different things, stuff like that.
Yeah, and I got involved with science fairs very, very early on. I was fortunate. I was actually homeschooled, so my mom basically had us try out a lot of different things, and one of them was science fairs. And I realized very early on that I really liked working on projects, and so I started in, I think it was kindergarten, working on little science fair projects, and then that kind of grew and expanded. And then in sixth grade, I competed in my first Delaware Valley Science Fair competition with a little solar car project, and then that expanded in 10th grade. I started working at Drexel University, actually. I knew I was interested in nanotechnology, and so I started working with Dr. Schauer over at Drexel on basically improving the performance of different organic solar cells there. And then each year, the projects just kind of grew progressively more kind of intricate as I learned, and as the research progressed, and then ended up staying on at Drexel to do an undergrad there in material science and engineering.
Are you going to be able to graduate early from Drexel, and do you plan on continuing your studies at Drexel after you are done with your undergraduate work?
Yeah, absolutely. I am actually able to do a 4-year program at Drexel, and actually most students do a 5-year program. So I'm incorporating a couple of co-ops, so 6-month internships into my plan of study. I finished my first one this past summer, and now I'll have another one. It's from April through September of 2016. So that's actually a little bit accelerated compared to most Drexel students. And then after I graduate from Drexel, I'm still trying to figure out grad school and what's going to happen there. Most likely I'll kind of move on and try out another institution, but we'll see.
Now, before we start talking about the science fair, do you want to give out the website, the phone number, as well as the social media information, which we will share?
Sure. The website is www.DVSF. That stands for Delaware Valley Science Fairs.org. There's a chock full of information on the website. Any questions, people can certainly contact me by phone, which is 215-895-5840, or email, which is disstonh@drexel.edu.
Excellent. They're also on Facebook at Delaware Valley Science Fairs -DVSF, on Twitter at DVS Fairs, and on LinkedIn at Delaware Valley Science Fairs Incorporated. When is the Delaware Valley Science Fair, and how does somebody go about getting their child involved in the program?
Well, the event is going to be held this year on between March 29th and March 31st at the Greater Philadelphia Expo Center out in Oaks. We're out there because it's large. Last year we had close to 1,000 students participating. We cover the tri-state area, which is southeastern Pennsylvania, southern New Jersey, and the state of Delaware. And in that area, there are 13 regional fairs that cover the counties in that tri-state area. So if somebody wants to get involved with that, depending on where they go to school, what county, they would then go into the county fair. And if they do well at the county fair, they'll then come on to the Delaware Valley Science Fairs. And then we take, the next level is the highest level, we take 13 students or 13 projects from Delaware Valley Science Fairs to the Intel International Science and Engineering Fair, and there they're with students from all over the United States and 72 foreign countries. Last year they had 1,500 students. The incredible thing about the high level is of those 1,500 students, over 400 of them had patents pending on the research. This is the highest level at the Intel. So this is kind of Delaware Valley Science Fairs is kind of like the semifinals.
Have you been able to compete at the international level?
Yeah, my senior year of high school, I was able to move on, and I won at Del Val, and so I got to go to Intel ISF when I was in Phoenix. And that was incredible, just to see and interact with, it's like 1,200 kids that are from all across the globe. And the thing that I think a lot of people don't really fully appreciate is the extent of the research that's done and the actual quality of the research that's done. These kids have been working on their projects, and they spend incredible amounts of time on these projects, working at some of the top academic institutions, research institutes that are out there. I've honestly seen higher quality research at both to some of the older categories at the Delaware Valley Science Fairs and ISF, higher quality stuff than even undergraduate research presentations at different colleges. I've been at Harvard's collegiate undergraduate research conferences as an undergraduate, and honestly, there are projects at some of these science fairs that blow some of those projects out of the water.
You said it was called ISF, the international one. Was there a particular research project that completely blew your mind, or a few that blew your mind? And if so, what was that one?
Sure. There is this one project on the kid actually won the top competition that year, but he worked on self-driving cars, and he's from Romania, and this guy he built basically a $4,000 version of Google's $75,000 self-driving car engine, essentially, and the actual engine that makes it self-driving, the autonomous part. So that was incredible.
Excellent.
Yeah, I remember his project. It was very good. Yeah. So, if I could just chime in, one of the students that we had a number of years ago, Elena Glassman, she was. This is in high school. She was working on how to move a mouse with brain waves, specifically for disabled people, so they could then put on a cap or something that could then read different brain waves, and then just through thinking, you could move a mouse one place or another and click on it, and this would be a tremendous tool for those that are disadvantaged or disabled and they do it. And she then went on to MIT, and I think it's probably still there working in their lab.
Now, did anything ever come of that invention? Was she able to patent it and move it forward, or
I don't know.
Technology that they still have to work on?
They're still working on it, and I know MIT is big working on it. I think there's others that are working on it too. So,
well, that's fascinating.
Yeah.
Some of the things, and it's these young minds that are doing it, and that's the incredible part and the awesome part, because it shows you the importance of childhood education. Science, mathematics, engineering, so important, and it's the young minds that are going to make the world a better place, and it's always been that way. And for some reason, for the last couple of decades, we've slowly moved away from that, and we can't.
And I think that's why DVSF is so important, is because U.S. has kind of been able to kind of squeeze by since our higher education systems. College, the university, we have some of the top universities in the world, but that high school age and even middle school to high school, that's where you compare students from the U.S. to students internationally, and it's really bad.
I have to stress, and I always want to remind people, even though we're so proud of people like Alex and the people that have won the first place, our main focus is what happens in the classroom. We want kids to start thinking scientifically in a way, and so we want kids to become problem solvers. That's what we need, but unfortunately now a lot of the emphasis is on content, memorizing content and throwing it back down on a test paper, and so the problem-solving skills are kind of faded behind. So we try to stress that, and the whole Delaware Valley Science Fairs is about problem-solving and figuring out ideas to that. So that's what we stress. We have a teacher development program. We have a team that goes into schools. I get funding for that, so they do that free of charge to get the teachers comfortable in teaching and guiding students on doing research. A lot of teachers, it's something that's not taught in some of the teacher colleges, so so we want to focus on really what's happening in the classroom, get kids to learn how to think.
Now, you've been working with the Delaware Valley Science Fair for a while, correct?
Correct, since the mid-'80s.
So you were around in the days of microfilm and microfiche and all of that. Now, you've seen, and the reason I want to bring that up is because you've seen how research has changed over the last 30 years. Mm-hmm. Is it easier if you have an idea to move it forward because of what you have around you versus 30 years ago?
Absolutely. I mean, the information that's out there and how quickly accessible it is facilitates everything. In the old days, students would have to go to the library and spend a lot of time there hunting the books or whatever. Mm-hmm. Now, if you're interested in something, you just kind of Google it, and it will lead one place and then to another, and that's where they can kind of get an idea and get started.
Well, yeah, I mean, I have a part of my degree as a journalism advertising degree, and to do some of the research I had to do was we had to go through the libraries and go through microfilm and microfiche like you would not believe.
Wow.
So to be able to have that access, all that information instantly, pretty awesome.
Yeah,
and
that's the big change. I mean, even now you can access Harvard's library, you can access what's going on abroad all over instantly. So that's changed things, I think, a lot for the kids.
It's true, and you can access other research that's been done about that same topic. So it's got to be fantastic in that way. But it's exciting too because keeping the young minds active is so important, and having programs like this. So if people want to compete at this level, they have to start at the local level first. Where do they get information about competing at the local level? And when are these competitions happening?
Well, it depends on what area you're in. Some schools require their students to do a research project. Some don't. So some of the kids might do this after school or on the weekends with a club. So they'll do a research project that way in the school, and then sometimes the schools will know the next level, how to get to the county fairs. Sometimes not, but again, all the information is on the website, so there's information there of each fair director and how they can get involved with that. We also have resources on the website, too, on how to get started. There's a website called Science Buddies that will kind of guide you and give you some ideas. The hardest part is picking a topic to do, and but I tell the kids, do something you're interested in. We had a great project a number of years ago on skateboard wheels, and the student was a skateboarder but wanted to know the different materials and the wheels that they were using, and so he went out and bought different ones and then collected data and did some trials and experiments to try to figure out which one was the best. And so and that, by doing that process, and again, I can't stress this enough, it's that process that the kids go through, is able to figure things out, get all the data, and then be able to draw conclusions from that data.
And a kid like that who takes that data may be able to invent the new super skateboard axle.
Absolutely.
I mean, seriously, that's the type of thing that happens when you encourage these young minds to see it. And as old fuddy-duddies, we see things differently than that young mind does. So,
and even if later on they end up working on a different field, just going through the process. I remember in 5th grade I did a project with the paintball gun just because I thought it was awesome, and just going through that research process of, all right, I have to make a question, then I have to develop a hypothesis, figure out my procedure for evaluating that hypothesis, and then executing the project. It teaches you skills which really, when you work on any sort of academia research project, or if you work in industry, it's the exact same thought process that you have to be going through, and it kind of teaches kids that how to really practically learn and evaluate different projects at a very early age, which really gives them kind of a head start.
There's also the other thing I would like to mention. Along the line, there are life skills that the kids learn. One of the life skills is interviewing skills. Now, this, as we all know, is an incredibly important skill that you don't learn from a book or a video. It's something you have to do. And I've seen 6th graders that are very shy and don't make eye contact, and by the time they're in 11th, 12th grade, they could sell you the Brooklyn Bridge, know how to work a room pretty well. The other thing I think is very important, and I hear this as a criticism sometimes of science competitions, is it's a competition. And some people think competition, it hurts a student's self-esteem or whatever, but it's a competitive world, and so you have to learn to deal with that. There's always going to be somebody maybe a little bit better, and you just have to, if you don't get the job, then you go try another job, or if you don't get in the college you want, you go try something else. And so you learn how to deal with a competitive world out there.
Absolutely. And I think part of the life skills that you need to learn are failure. You know how many scientists have failed miserably at their experiments before they've come up with the right thing. And they'll tell you their failures were the greatest thing in the world. Yeah. Michael Jordan missed as many shots as he made that were game winners, and he'll tell you that he's glad that he missed every one of them because it made him that much more prepared to make the other ones. So
absolutely.
If you're a helicopter parent and you're trying to avoid failure for your kid, you're doing your child a disservice by doing that, because they need to have these life skills. They need to learn to fail so that they can think about how they can not fail the next time they try that and don't fall into that same pattern of making mistakes. Also, some other life skills that maybe are helpful for these kids: people interacting with people, and then public speaking, which with today's technology you don't see as much emphasis on that. Yeah. It's great. These things are phenomenal. And one of the things that you should talk about is the fact that you have $3 million in scholarships and prizes and a chance for people to compete with kids from all over the world. Talk about an exciting learning experience. Oh my God.
We speaking of the awards, we not only try to encourage the kids by giving them awards for first, second, third, honorable mentions and things like that within their categories. There's 13 different categories in the fairs. But we also partner with close to 65 professional societies and organizations. And these professional societies, each one they all have an educational mission. They want some of the kids to get involved with that. And so they're partners with us, and they'll go around and interview kids in different areas. For example, we have Dow Chemical Company is out there, and they're looking obviously for those related. We have all the societies of naval engineers or highway engineers, civil engineers. They're out there. Even the Society of Food Technologists are looking specifically for projects dealing with food and research in food. And like I said, I'm not going to list them all, but there's close to 65 of them, and then they all encourage the kids to. So there's plenty of opportunities, and I tell the kids that doors are going to open that they never even knew existed by participating in this program.
Absolutely. One of the analogies, if you have kids that are very into sports, for football they go to the combine. This is like the combine of science, and these companies may see this kid's cancer research and be like, you know what, we're doing cancer research, let's follow this guy and what he's doing. So it's that same type of thing to put it into a sports comparison. And these companies that want to move forward with technology are very serious about following these events. We had
a student last year, a judge came up to me and said, I just hired 2 consultants to work on a problem that this kid just solved, which was kind of neat. So it's okay if we give the kid our card so that we can kind of contact them and do that. And I said, absolutely,
And even in my experience, like just the number of doors that have opened after participating in these fairs, it's really incredible. I mean, I remember, just as an easy example, I worked with a PhD student over at Drexel, and she graduated, I think, in my 11th grade year. But then she went on to work at the Institute for New Materials over in Germany. And so the summer after I graduated from high school, she hooked me up with the internship over there. So I got to go over there and experience that. And then that has opened other doors. And so, it really is an incredible opportunity for kids to kind of get started and learn. And even going back to the competition side, for me, that was awesome. Like, I love competing, and there's many years, 9th through 11th grade where, I didn't win and I didn't make it to ISF, but that motivated me probably even more so than winning. And, I remember 11th grade year, not winning and really working. That was the year I, then worked way harder at it and got, a way more put together project for the next year. And so then I ended up, winning because of that. And so.
Yeah, no, that's great. And the fact that you have been so motivated by the excitement of learning in something that you enjoy is even better. And if you have kids out there, you're a child out there listening, find what you enjoy and go for it. It will make the whole process much more fun for you. You won't ever feel like you're, oh, God, I got to go do this, because you're having fun doing it. I mean, look at Alex over here. He loves what he's doing. He gets excited. It's the same thing. I work in radio, and I love coming into the studio every day. It's the same thing. So find what you really enjoy. Go for it. This is a chance for you to have your kids find something that they really enjoy doing and really get involved in it. You want to give the information again on the Delaware Valley Science Fairs, the age groups, how they get involved, when all of that good information?
Right. The best thing to do, again, is we have a website, www.DVSF, stands for Delaware Valley Science Fairs.org. When you go there, one of the menu items is regional fairs. And so you can click on that and find out what county your school's in, find out the regional fairs. Some of them have their own website. Some all have contact information, and then contact it, and you could do this on your own. You don't have to be part of the school. If they don't support it, that's fine. You can do this on your own with the help of a parent or a friend or a neighbor, whatever. So don't hesitate to do that. I'm also available by phone, 215-895-5840, or by email, disstonh@drexel.edu.
And again, it's at the Philadelphia Expo and Arts Center at 1601 Egypt Road, Phoenixville, PA. The April 1st, 1 to 3 p.m. What's happening on that day?
Actually, March 30th is where it's really not open to the public, so to speak, but on March 30th, which is a Wednesday, I believe, is the judging day. So this is when all the students are there with their projects. They set it up the day before, but that day they're being judged, and we had over 400 volunteer judges. This is a volunteer-driven operation. Okay. So we have those judges there in the morning looking at the projects, and the students come in the afternoon between 1 and 3, and this is when they're interviewed. So a lot of times if people want to see it, particularly the press, potential sponsors or whatever, this is time because that's where all the action's happening right there, and they can see the judges, they can see the students and all the hubbub that's going on.
Yeah, it's pretty incredible even to just go there. There's I guess DVSF is around almost about 1,000 kids. 1,000 kids from the tri-state area, that's all exciting. Presenting their research.
And again, you said your website has information for everybody on how they can go locally to get there regionally.
Right. And they can also, for students that are just starting off or listening to this and they're not sure of the next step, we have resources for students. And if they go on there, and I'll steer you to one called Science Buddies, but there's a whole lot of them there. And that kind of might help you, give you some ideas of what to do. Because that's the hardest part. How do I start? Where do I want to go? And so we do have resources on the website to help you and guide you with that.
Are you still looking for volunteers for your big end of March event? And
absolutely.
If so, how does somebody go about?
Again, through the website, we have on the menu there, we've got an item called volunteer. So if you just want to volunteer, see what's going on, we certainly could use people there. If you're working in any of the sciences or enjoy the sciences, technology, engineering, and math, the health sciences or whatever, we're looking for judges. So we have a click there, judges, and you can then fill out an application we have, and then hopefully we will see you on that day bright and early.
Do you still need like corporate sponsors or anything like that involved?
Yes, we're a kind of a nonprofit, so we're always looking for corporate sponsors. Now, a lot of our corporate sponsors now, the reason why they're involved is this is their future workforce. They're always looking for a science literate workforce. So we have quite a few sponsors, but could always use more because there's so much more we could do if we had the funding.
Absolutely. It's amazing. I mean, you need a lot of money. You need money to do research. You need money for sciences and for mathematics, engineering, all of that stuff as well. So you're right. And again, if you have a young whippersnapper who loves to create things or research or do things scientific, engineering, technological, mathematical, this is a place you might want to look into. You want to hit the website. You want to hit the phone number again so that people can get information.
Right. I want to stress, don't hesitate in contacting me. I'd be glad, and if any kind of question, I'll be glad to steer you in the right direction or try to provide research. That's what I do because this is the future. I love working with the future, and this is these kids are it.
Again, with me are Alex McBride, who is an alumni who went through 7 years in the program, now currently studying nanotechnology at Drexel University, and Henry Disston, Jr., who is the president and executive director of the Delaware Valley Science Fairs Incorporated. And if you look up Delaware Valley Science Fairs on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, you can find their pages there. Follow along there. Make sure you hit the website. Let's get the website, the phone number out there one more time.
Okay, one more time, www.DVSF, Delaware Valley Science Fairs.org. Phone number 215-895-5840. If you get my voicemail, I'm real good at returning calls.
And is there anything we did not mention that you would like to go over before we wrap things up?
Well, just one quick note. I think the sign that your kid might be interested in this is if they keep taking everything apart, they're probably interested in figuring out how it works. And so if they keep breaking stuff, that actually might be a good sign for later on.
Well, thank you very much for stopping by, and I look forward to reading about some of the great things that happen at the Science Fair this year.
Great. Well, thank you, Marcus.
You bet.
Thank
Take
you.
care. You're listening to 93.3 WMMR. This is Public Affairs. I'm your host, Markus Goldman. If you'd like more information about the Del Val Science Affair or anything else public affairs related, feel free to email me publicaffairs@WMMR.com. Thank you so much for listening. Enjoy your Sunday.
The WMMR Public Affairs Show is locally written, recorded, and produced by your host, Markus Goldman, with topics that relate to the WMMR listening area to better serve and inform the WMMR family. Thank you for listening, and we invite you to tune in next week to another show as WMMR puts Philly first.